Hey guys, here we are in the tech tree once again to see what is new with god powers. These are potentially like the most exciting thing in Age of Mythology, kind of always has been. The awesome god powers that you're able to use, like dropping a lightning bolt to kill a unit, or an entire lightning storm later in the game. Really awesome stuff, and in the AoM Retold beta, there were a decent amount of changes for these powers, and I want to go over all of them, at least all of the ones that I noticed. They should all be in this video. Maybe I missed something, you never know. I always doubt myself. It's never ending, it's unceasing. Self-doubt, that's how it is. Anxiety. So we're going to get started. Before I go over the individual god powers though, there is of course the giant looming change to god powers in general that happened in AoM Retold, if you're not aware. Basically, the powers no longer have a cap to how many times you can use them for any of the civs. You can use all of the powers an infinite number of times. I imagine it's an infinite number of times at least. But in order to use them past the first instance that you do, you have to use favor to cast them. And sometimes it's a lot of favor, like 350 favor to cast Earthquake a second time, I think it was, something like that. It's crazy expensive, right? So that the entire game isn't just thrown into complete chaos with god powers being lobbed everywhere, you know? So there's that, the main change to god powers in this game. We're going to start going all of them individually in order, as you can see over on the left side. And starting with Zeus, I'm pretty sure his bolt power is the same. Sentinels is the same. And Lure does the same thing that it did before, but it actually gets stronger in later ages. I don't know exactly how much food it now brings to it. That data is not available, but it is stronger the later the game goes. So that is a new thing that this power does. Restoration is the same. Ceasefire has had its uptime nerfed. I don't know about any of the other god powers and their uptimes, but this one I heard from Boyd, and this one is one of the powers where the duration is the most important. That's like the entire thing for this power, so that's why I pointed out. But also, I believe that Ceasefire has a new effect where it slows the construction of ranged fortifications for a short period of time. Unless that's an effect that was in the Titans that does not appear on the wiki, because it does not say that this power does that on the wiki. So that is a new thing. Underworld Passage is the same. Bronze is mostly the same, except now it applies to myth units. Pestilence is changed. I'm pretty sure it is a buff. It now prevents buildings from firing projectiles, and it slows unit production. So it looks like the unit production effect that it has is nerfed. It no longer completely stops unit production, it just slows it. But it also prevents buildings from firing projectiles, which I would imagine makes this power better as a whole, because it has more of like an actual immediate effect on an attack. Obviously, this is meant to be like a aggressive power, so when you're attacking a base, it stops the enemy defensive structures from attacking you for a while, which is one of the big things that, you know, kind of ward enemies away, especially in the early game. The Plenty Vault is the same. Lightning Storm seems to have some kind of new effect. It says that it targets a location to call down an electric storm from Olympus whose power increases over time. So Lightning Storm gets stronger over its duration. I don't know exactly how that works. I don't think this is something that it used to do. It doesn't say anything about it on the wiki at least, so Lightning Storm appears to have some sort of ramping effect. I don't know if that makes it stronger or the same. It appears to have been tweaked. And then finally for the Greeks we have Earthquake, where this one might have also gotten a small tweak. It says that the epicenter of the earthquake inflicts the most damage. I don't know if Earthquake had a sort of radial effect before. If it didn't, this is now something that it does. Also, it doesn't say that it does this on the wiki, and the wiki is where I'm getting most of this information. I don't know every little thing about every power from the game because I wasn't, you know, a like fanatical, or not fanatical, that's a mean word. I wasn't like a try-hard or, you know, like super active Age of Mythology player before AoM Retold, right? Anyways, we're gonna move to the Egyptians. Rain does the same thing. Prosperity does the same thing. And then Vision also does the same thing. Eclipse has a new effect, unless this was an unlisted effect. It says that it improves the abilities of your myth units and increases the rate at which your monuments generate favor. This monument effect appears to be new. I have never heard of this. I've never seen this. It doesn't appear on the wiki. And the game doesn't mention that it blocks god powers either. and that's something that it did do. So either that doesn't happen or it's a hidden effect of this power. But regardless, it looks different here just by looking at it. So that's that. Shifting sands now only works on your own units or allied units. You cannot shift enemy units away from, their base or your base or whatever. You can't shift enemy units anymore. And then Plague of Serpents seems to be basically the same thing. Locust Swarm is different. It used to only affect fishing ships and farms, I believe, and now it affects villagers and livestock as well. Locust Swarm is also the receiver of a new mechanic where you have to draw a path for the power to go on. So instead of it just happening in like a circular area like all the god powers did in AoM the Titans, Locust Swarm will travel along the area that it shows of the god power in the direction that you've drawn it, which I'll try to put a clip of in the video so you can see that. So it is stronger in that aspect and also seems better in general because it affects more things. Citadel is the same. Ancestors is the same. The Son of Osiris is the same. Tornado is the same. And Meteor is the same. So all of the mythic powers are exactly the same, at least in their effects. I wouldn't know about the stats of these powers, and there's not really a way for me to know about that and compare them, so it is what it is. Now for the Norse, I'm pretty sure that Dwarven Mine did get altered in some way. If this is some sort of ramping, faster gathering effect, that is a completely new effect. This power used to only gain more gold if you used it in later ages, but now apparently it is gathered faster. Special gold. Great Hunt does the same thing, but it gets more powerful with each age. Another ramping effect, kind of like how Poseidon's lure got buffed or changed like that. And then Spy is the same thing. Forest Fire is the same, Healing Spring is the same, and Undermine does the same thing that it did in the Titans, but it has the new casting effect that Locust Swarm has. So again, instead of just casting it in this like circular area like in the Titans, you draw a path for Undermine to take effect along, and it's a cool looking effect. I'll again try to put that on screen, but yeah, it does the same thing. I don't know if having this casting method improves the power really, but that's what it is. Frost is the same. Flaming Weapons is the same. And then Walking Woods is different. This one's very different. It's actually a good power now, I think, or a useful power at any rate. I actually love the change that they did with this. I think it's also very frustrating to go against, because basically the problem with this power in the Titans was that you could use it on trees, right? But you couldn't control the trees, so they would just do whatever they wanted, and sometimes, they would just sit there and be useless, or just attack things that you don't want to attack. But now, when you use Walking Woods, the trees are controllable. You can control all of them, and this makes for a very fun strat with Odin or Loki, where you rush to the heroic age very quickly, and then you just bum rush the enemy buildings with Walking Woods. You just bring, like, whatever small army you've managed to acquire. You have this mountain giant that spawns when you advance to the next age, and then you just use Walking Woods and you just go ham on all of the enemy buildings and town center, and you can just kind of overwhelm them, and it's really cool. It's a really awesome change for this power. I do like what they did. Ragnarok is the same, unfortunately. And then Fimbulwinter is another power that got a small but very impactful change. I guess it's not a small change, it's a huge change. It works the same way that it did before, but it also prevents enemies from garrisoning in buildings. I do like that they changed this power in a way that makes it effective. What I don't like about Fimbulwinter is that it's kind of broken. I think it might be kind of broken. I've had this used against me a number of times in my online games in the beta, and this power seemingly has no counter. It is stupid. It just freezes all your buildings, the wolves pop up, and they kill all of your villagers. There's very little you can do unless you have your army there, which you won't if the enemy is timing this right, like, during a fight. Like, if they use Fimbulwinter during an engagement, which they usually do in the games that I've played so far, your army is occupied, right? And even if you leave a little bit of army there, which I tried to do in one of my games, Fimbulwinter still just, like, the wolves just come up, they just kill all your villagers. It's insane. It's ridiculous. It just kills your entire food economy and other resources as well if they're close to the town centers. It's so frustrating. It's annoying. Fimbulwinter is crazy. Anyways, the last Norse power is the Nidhogg, which appears to be the same on the surface, but I heard has a different effect or a new effect. Maybe. I'll have to test that. I'll put something on screen if I find anything But yeah, basically the Nidhogg, it's still the Nidhogg. It still summons a big dragon. We do have access to the Atlanteans' god powers, so we're gonna look at these. Deconstruction is the same. Shockwave is the same. And Gaia Forest is the same. Favor is changed. It used to change 3 units into heroes, and now instead you target 1 human unit to convert it into a hero, and you heal it fully. So the heal effect is new, and it only targets 1 unit. I don't know how this really affects the power, because, you know, you're going to be able to reuse it infinitely effectively because of the new power system, but for how much favor, you know, the cooldown, it's going to depend on that in regards to how good this power actually is. Spider Lair seems to be the same. Carnivora is the same. Chaos is significantly different, and I guess this is because of the being able to reuse powers thing. It targets a group of enemies and makes it temporarily hostile to all. So instead of inflicting the debuff that would make units hostile to everything permanently, it now only works for a temporary period of time. And I don't really know the applications of that, but that is very different. Trader is the same, and then the Hesperides tree is also different. It's just straight buffed, I guess. The tree does the same thing that it used to do, training dryads, and now it also heals friendly myth units, so it has a healing effect, which is nice. Vortex is the same. Implode might also have one of these radial effects. It says that it's more powerful when cast near a large number of enemy units. I don't know what that means, if it, like, is literally more powerful, or if it's just because, like, you know, I think it, like, sucks units in. You know, you'll get more value out of it when you use it next to a bunch of enemy units. I assume that's probably what it means, so this thing probably isn't actually changed, but it sounds a little different with this description. And then finally, Tartarian Gate, which appears to be the same. And that is all of the god powers. That is all of the changes that you can notice by reading here or by playing the game. At the very least, it's all the changes that I've seen. So I don't know, maybe I missed a little thing, who knows, but that should be it. Thanks for watching, and yeah, I'm out of here. I will see you in the next one.